Have you ever wondered what happens to a narcissist as they get older? We often see them in their prime, full of charm, confidence, and control. But time, as they say, is the great equalizer. The very traits that once propelled them forward can become the anchors that drag them down in their later years. Today, we're going to explore the fascinating and often tragic downfall of a narcissist as they age. Let's start by understanding their core foundation. Narcissists build their entire world on something called narcissistic supply. This isn't just a desire for attention. It's a desperate, insatiable need for admiration, validation, and a sense of superiority. They get this supply from others, from their partners, their children, their colleagues, anyone who can be manipulated into feeding their ego. In their youth, this is relatively easy. Their looks, energy, and social prowess act as powerful magnets, drawing people in. They can easily find new sources of supply if one runs out. But what happens when the first cracks start to appear? As a narcissist enters middle age, the physical attributes they relied on begin to fade. Their youthful charm might not work as effectively. They can't command a room with just a smile anymore. This is a huge blow to their ego. They might try to fight it with cosmetic procedures, obsessive exercise, or by surrounding themselves with younger people to feel relevant. But it's a losing battle against time. The reflection in the mirror no longer matches the grandiose image they have of themselves, and this creates a deep, internal conflict. At the same time, their professional life often takes a hit. In their younger years, their ambition and willingness to step on others might have led to career success, but over time, their true colors show. Colleagues and superiors get tired of the manipulation, the lack of empathy, and the constant need for credit. They burn bridges. Promotions might stop coming. Younger, more collaborative colleagues start to surpass them. The workplace, which was once a primary source of supply and power, becomes a source of frustration and resentment. They feel undervalued and overlooked, failing to see that their own behavior is the root cause. This is when we start to see the mask slip more frequently. The charming, charismatic facade becomes harder to maintain. The frustration and bitterness simmering underneath begin to boil over. They become more irritable, more critical, and more prone to narcissistic rage. The slightest perceived criticism can trigger an explosive outburst. They're no longer the life of the party. They're the person everyone walks on eggshells around. Their social circle, once wide and full of admirers, begins to shrink dramatically. Now, let's talk about their relationships, which are often the biggest casualties of their aging process. People who have been in long-term relationships with narcissists often reach a breaking point. Their partners, after years of emotional abuse, gaslighting, and feeling invisible, may finally find the strength to leave. This is a devastating blow. The narcissist doesn't just lose a partner. They lose a primary, stable source of supply. They lose their built-in caretaker and ego booster. And what about their children? As children of narcissists grow up and become independent adults, they start to see their parents' behavior for what it is. They develop boundaries. They refuse to be manipulated. They might go low contact or even no contact to protect their own mental health. This is perhaps the most profound rejection a narcissist can face. The children they saw as extensions of themselves, as guaranteed sources of lifelong admiration, are now rejecting them. This abandonment can send the aging narcissist into a deep spiral. So here we have an aging narcissist. Their looks are fading. Their career is stagnating. Their friends have drifted away. Their spouse has left. Their children are distant. The world that was once their stage is now an empty theater. The sources of narcissistic supply that they so desperately need are drying up one by one. This leads to a state known as narcissistic collapse. It's a period of severe depression, anxiety, and despair. The grandiose self-image they've spent a lifetime constructing shatters. Without external validation, they are forced to confront the emptiness and self-loathing they've been running from their entire lives. This is a terrifying experience for them. They are left alone with the one person they can't stand, their true self. How do they cope? Well, often, not very well. Some might desperately scramble to find new, often inappropriate, sources of supply. This could be a much younger partner who is easier to impress and control, or they might try to latch onto the success of their grandchildren, attempting to control them in the same way they tried to control their own kids. They might become professional victims, trying to get supply in the form of pity and sympathy. Their stories of being wronged and abandoned become their new identity. Others may retreat into complete isolation. They become bitter recluses, stewing in their resentment and blaming the entire world for their problems. Their health often deteriorates, not just due to age, but from the chronic stress and neglect. They may refuse to see doctors because they can't stand being seen as weak or imperfect. It's a lonely and bleak existence. The grandiosity gives way to paranoia. The charm is replaced by perpetual anger. The life they built, based on a foundation of illusion, crumbles, leaving them buried in the rubble. They end up as a king or queen of an empty castle, with no subjects to rule and no one to admire their crown. It's important to remember that while this downfall might seem like cosmic justice, it's also a deeply human tragedy. It is the end result of a personality disorder that robs a person of the ability to form genuine connections and find true internal happiness. If you recognize these patterns in someone you know, or even in yourself, remember that it's never too late to seek understanding and help. There are resources and therapists who specialize in these personality structures. The story of the aging narcissist is a powerful cautionary tale. It shows us that a life built on ego, control, and external validation is ultimately unsustainable. True fulfillment and lasting happiness come from within, from genuine relationships, empathy, and self-acceptance, the very things the narcissist spends their life avoiding. Thank you so much for watching and for joining this deep dive. If this topic resonated with you, please share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content that helps us understand the complexities of human behavior. See you in the next one.